Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to our Junktown settlement build. As of now, the entire town is pretty much finished, so hopefully I can start getting these videos out a little bit quicker. But that being said, today we're going to be checking out the Vault Dwellers Museum, and since I know there's been plenty of Vault Dwellers in the past, more specifically this one is the Soul Survivors Museum. Now, just like last episode, we're going to go ahead and start out here on the outside of the main wall, so you can maybe get a sense of any progress that's been made since the last episode, since, like I said, there has been quite a bit. For one, the museum is done now, as well as this area over here. It's definitely received quite a bit of work, which you can't really see right now due to the fog that just rolled in. But that gun store is actually about 90% done now. Though I'm going to go ahead and save that for a separate episode, just so that we can spend a bit more time on it. Another area that's had quite a bit of work done to it is the brothel, which you'll find right on the second floor of our bar or tavern, which is the building we checked out in the last episode. I'd say that one is really close to being done. It just needs a few more minor details to kind of add some story to it, but other than that, like I said, it's really close to being finished. And the same thing goes for the outer walls as well. I probably won't end up doing another full episode on the walls, but I'll definitely be sure to show you the rest of those when it comes down to the final tour. And by the way, for any of you who maybe haven't seen any of the previous videos we've done on this town, basically the backstory is that, at least in my playthrough, the Soul Survivor has been dead for several years now, and this actually takes place maybe 30 or 40 years after the events of Fallout 4. So quite a bit of time has passed, and that's why you see things like his little memorial here, since this settlement, and it's not really even a settlement, it's more of a rest stop with a few attractions to really bring in travelers or traders. But as I was saying, that's why this area has things like his memorial and also an entire museum, albeit not that big, dedicated to his honor, I guess. And speaking of that museum, that just so happens to be this tiny building we're looking at right now. So going into this one, I didn't really have a whole lot of room to work with. In fact, I'd say it was about the same scale as that extremely small Fallout bunker we did quite a while ago. But even though that was the case, I'd say we were still able to fit quite a bit of detail in here. And really quick, just so we're not dealing with this fog, I think it's best we wait a little while, maybe for some different weather. Alright, perhaps not the best transition weather-wise, but honestly I'd say I kinda like the rad storm in this area. Definitely makes some of the colors pop. Oh, and by the way, the Vault Tech representative is pretty much the museum's advertiser. So that's why he stood on the box, trying to wave people in. Since, like I said, this is more so a rest stop, so it probably gets its fair share of travelers that are coming in and out, not only from the main gate, but also the back one as well. And speaking of that, we'll save it for a future video, but there's also going to be a little trading hub out there as well, just so this settlement has a bit more substance. But anyways, moving in to the main focus of this video, here is the Soul Survivors Museum. A very, very small museum, but I think we were still able to fit quite a bit of detail in here, nonetheless, and hopefully you'll find it rather enjoyable. So for starters, on the left side, we've got the various drinks that the Vault Dweller may have come in contact with. So the Nuka-Cola one you can find pretty much all over the country, but the Vim poster there is more specific to the Far Harbor area. Moving on from all that, you can see this little shelf here is where the bulk of the detail is. So you've got the baseball hat from Diamond City, the Cappy glasses from Nuka World, the Soul Survivors Pip-Boy, and the comic book. I think that's the same one you find in his house towards the very beginning of the game, and obviously after the bombs drop. Apart from that, there's the Luck bobblehead, which has always been one of my favorites, so that's pretty much why that's there. Also, I know I've used these quite a bit already in our bar, but up on the wall, as you can see, we have a few more mounted creatures with the neon circles around them, just to add a bit more color to the build and also make the creatures themselves pop out a bit more. And speaking of adding color to the build, we also have the Vault Tech poster there, which I'd say is not only fitting to the overall theme of this build, seeing as how it's related to the Soul Survivor, but just like the mounted creatures, I think it also adds a good bit of extra color with the blues and reds it gives off. Apart from all that, the actual shelves below everything house some of Sean's old toys, or potentially current toys, depending on which ending you got. And then to the right of all that are some more larger scale items, which, believe it or not, I actually just changed up today. So the Recon Marine armor you're looking at right now used to be NCR gear, and more specifically the NCR Ranger gear. And then the flag was an NCR flag with the two-headed bear. By the way, that was all done to make it seem like my character might have traveled all the way to the Mojave, since of course it had been several years between the events of Fallout 4 and then his eventual passing. But then I realized that's all the way on the other side of the country, and although it may be possible nowadays, if you think about it, doing that in the apocalypse is really not an easy task by any stretch of the imagination. And that's making it there. I'm sure making it back again would just be even harder. So in the end, I chose to scrap all that for a more realistic approach, and with that being the case, we ended up with the marine armor from Far Harbor, the Red Rocket flag, which I thought was still rather fitting considering the Red Rocket truck stop was where he found dog meat. And then last but not least is the last minute Gauss rifle. Now to go ahead and finish up the entire build, we've got a few more neat little items sort of tying us back to the Soul Survivor's past, such as Sean's special book, the suitcase from Vault 88, a very classic looking 10mm pistol, as well as the original Vault 111 suit with some leather armor on it. And up on the wall back there above the window is the railway rifle that my character received from the railroad. So all in all, although it was a rather small build, I must say I rather enjoyed doing this one, considering the whole way through I was sort of reminded of some of the cooler events that Fallout 4 had to offer. But that being said, guys, that should do it for today. So hopefully you did end up enjoying the build. Feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, hopefully I will see you in the next one.